Good evening, YouTube. So tonight I want to talk about tipping. I mentioned before on my very first video that I worked at an odd number of jobs, which include being a waiter or server, a bartender, a bar back, an Uber driver. Many jobs that are service industry jobs where tips are recommended or are part of the lifestyle. And when I worked those jobs, I was grateful when I got tipped, but I was never under the mindset that tipping was required. If I got a tip, great. If I didn't get a tip, whatever. I always told myself I'll never let that get me down. I'm gonna be happy no matter what. And I'm gonna give the best service no matter what. Even if I had regulars, like when I was bartending, I would have regulars that I knew were not gonna tip. That they never tip, but I still treated them just as great as other regulars. And just because that's the way I am, I love giving great service. And I was always under the mindset of like an owner's mindset that the business has to make money, because without the business, I don't have a job. So even customers that don't tip, they're still a customer at the end of the day, and the business has to make money. The business still needs them. Without them, I have no job. And I always got jobs that I would make at least minimum wage, even without tips. So the tips were just something extra. And like I said, if I did get tips, I was grateful. Now, nowadays, it seems that many people in the service industry are under the assumption that tips are mandatory, automatic tipping. And this is almost everywhere I go. It's almost out of control. I go to Subway, they have a tip thing, a percentage when you're paying out. When I go to a donut shop and get my donuts. And again, all they did was grab a donut and hand it to me, and there's a tip jar. Uh, but they really didn't do much. I'm trying to think. Everywhere I go, there's a tip jar. And again, I'm not knocking on the hustle. If people, you can put that out there. If people want to tip, go ahead. If they don't, whatever. But you shouldn't guilt people into tip. And I've seen videos on Reddit where Door Dashers and Uber Eats delivery people or Postmates or any of those, where they don't get a big tip or any tip, and they kind of get upset. And again, it's part of the job. If you don't like the job, get another job. You're not always going to get tipped. And even if you think you deserve one, there's some customers that are a pain in the ass and don't tip, and that's just the way it goes. But nowadays, it's crazy. I've always tipped. Well, I'll take that back. I tip accordingly, and how I see it is this: uh, when I go out, I usually like to go out to the same places. I go to the same bars, the same restaurants, um, the same poker rooms. Everywhere I go is the same, and the reason is I go to places that I like, and I like to get to know my staff. I usually have my bartenders and my servers phone number. I know them by name. They know me by name. They know what I like. They text me um, when asking me sometimes, "Hey, are you gonna come over?" Or I text them, "Hey, are you busy?" And I tip them well. And if I go to a place and my regular bartender or server is in there, I usually I give people a chance, and if I don't like how they serve me, I still tip them. But then I probably don't go back, and instead of I don't keep them in my regular line of go to spots, because I do sometimes feel obligated to tip. The only times that I don't is if a person is lazy. If a person's lazy, um, or yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say bad at their job because they're gonna have an off day. But if they're just lazy, I don't tip at all, and and I still feel bad about it. But it's it's tipping is not mandatory. So I'll bring up why this topic I'm talking about tonight. One of my bartenders where I frequent, it's also a former coworker. It's a bar that I used to work at, and I went over there to visit. Now again, this year I'm not drinking, so but I still like to go to the bars. And I talked to some of the owners, and they're working with me, not drinking, because they still want me to come by. So they have a bunch of non-alcoholic drinks for me. So I went to a bar today, and I'm like, hey, do you have any non-alcoholics beer in the fridge? They go and check. They're like, no, I don't have anything. And I'm like, all right. Do you have anything in the back? She goes, I don't know. You could check. I used to work here, so I know where the beer's at. So I go there, and sure enough, there's beer. It just hasn't been put in the fridge. Now, that bartender was responsible for that. She was supposed to have the beer stocked, and she had worked the previous night, so she didn't do it the previous night. But whatever. I went, put the beer in the fridge, and while I waited for it to get cold, I went and gambled. They have these little casino machines at a lot of these bars here in Galveston. Even though gambling is illegal, people do it everywhere. Anyways, so I play the machine, and I I I won a little bit of money, and the bartender's telling me, "Hey, I'm kind of hungry," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, so am I." She goes, "Can you go bring me some food?" And I was like, "Fine, I'll go bring you some food." Again, I'm still waiting for my drink to get cold. So I go to Panda Express, get her what she wanted, and I get myself something. And she never offered to pay. I bought her the food, and I delivered her the food. Bring it over there, and get to eating. And the owner comes with a bunch of beer, and the bartender asked me, "Hey, can I help unload beer from her truck?" I'm like, "Yeah." Unload it, put it in the storage room, and then she asked me, "Hey, can I also get her ice for the ice machine?" I'm like, "All right," you know. Again, I used to do this when I used to work there, but whatever. I'm not working there. I was just hanging out. I'll do all that, and I was about to leave, but before I left, I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna play one more machine." I played another machine, and I hit pretty good. I won a couple $100. And I'm like, hell yeah, it actually paid. All this good karma paid off. I helped with all this extra labor. I got her a free meal, and although I don't really believe in karma, um, this time doing a good deed actually helped out. All right, so I was feeling good. Now the bartender goes, "Ooh, I know I'm getting $20 tip," and I'm like, "What? Yeah, you're gonna give me $20?" I'm like. And I was like, I cashed my ticket and I left. And she was upset with me. And I'm like, I'm not tipping somebody. I already brought you food. I paid for it too. It was $15. And I brought it to you. And I do all this extra work. And I don't have a tab open because you were lazy. You didn't do your job. You didn't stock the fridge. And so you want me to pay you $20. Now I know some customers when they win, they tip, and usually they tip because they also have a tab going. So they have a beer tab, they hit on the machine, and so they're already gonna close out, and then they tip. They usually tip good. And So I guess she was expecting me an automatic tip from me, but I'm like, she was asking me for a tip, and that really pisses me off when people ask me for a tip. I've had that happen a couple times before, where people ask me, they don't even give me the chance to see if I want a tip, could be because I was waiting for my drinks to get cold. Uh, but again, it was just saying forever. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come. I was gonna go back. I'm gonna go back later on tonight. That's why I put them in the fridge. And she's working all night, so I was gonna go back. And when I buy a product, I was gonna tip out on that product. Uh, but I hated that she was asking for a tip because I had this happen to me before. One time I was in a poker room, and all night I'm tipping. I'm tipping the dealer a couple bucks here and a couple bucks there, and I'm not winning anything big. And I'm in the hand, and I hit a giant pot. It was a like I don't know, like $1,500. It's a freaking amazing pot, and I win, and I'm like just ecstatic. I'm like celebrating, like and like 3 seconds or 5 seconds later, the dealer goes, "Don't forget to tip your dealer." And I'm like, have you not seen me tip you all night? And and you don't. I'm like, you can't wait a second for me to. I haven't even counted my chips. I was grabbing them. Man, I was like, it really ruined my mood. And as soon as he said that, and I was gonna tip him because again, I was tipping all night, and I was gonna tip him again. And as soon as he said that, don't forget to tip your dealer. Again, I stacked my money, kind of how much I won, and I didn't tip a damn thing. And I told him, I've never, when I worked in the service industry, asked somebody to tip me. You know, again, it's not mandatory. I don't want to guilt somebody into doing that, and I don't like the cringiness of doing that. And so when he did it, it was like, man, I was in a good mood, and then you're over here, you kind of ruined it for me, and so I cashed out and left. I was like, again, I don't do that. I don't like people ruining my mood, um, and I've seen other bartenders and people in the service industry ask people for tips. They don't even give people the chance to see if they are going to tip. That they're asking before. And to me, it's just weird. I don't think if you're in the service industry, you should ever ask somebody to tip you. Um, I've never done it again. And but man, this culture, it's people always want uh, everyone to give them a tip, and they want a big tip. And the other thing is this: people are not good at their jobs. It's like it's be one thing if you were great at your job, and you kind of felt like, man, I'm amazing at my job. That's kind of why I'm asking people for tips. I can maybe understand that, but most people are just uh, not even going by. They're not good. They're there because uh, management is usually desperate, and they took what they could get. If they could get somebody better, they would have got somebody better. Uh, yeah, so I don't know. I hate this culture of automatic tipping, and everywhere I go, it's becoming more and more common. And I almost want to boycott tipping, even though it's not who I am. Because I tip because I like helping people, and I want to see those people that I like keep their job, and I want to visit them. Okay, so like I said, I have a list of bartender friends, and I go to visit them, and I'm tipping them because I want them to keep this job. Because every time I visit this establishment, I want to hang out with them, and I want them to keep their job there. So I not only do I tip them, but I bring them customers. I go with a group. I go with my coworkers who also tip very well, and I make sure they do well when I'm around, or if or at the business. I give them a lot of business, and I send them business. When people ask me, "Hey, where's a good place to eat or drink or something?" I'm like, "Oh, go over here on this date and ask for this person." You know, I really try to help my the people that I like, because I want people that are good at their job to progress, and even tell them, since I have the information. Hey, look, if you ever leave this job, go to another job, I'll support you. You know, give me a text if you go to a new bar or a new restaurant, and even though I have my circle of places that I like, I'll go somewhere else to help somebody out. But okay, so a good example. Thursday, same bar. Uh, I had just finished posting a video on YouTube. I think if I had just finished or recording it, and I was on Snapchat posting that I had tied up a ship, and one of the bartenders was texting me like how I'm liking my working at the port, and we were just talking back and forth. And then she told me, was I gonna come by the bar? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna come. I'll stop by over there. Then she asked me, hey, before you get to the bar, could you buy me some food? I'll give you money. And she offered to pay for the food. And I told her, you know what? I'm not gonna. I don't care. Like, it's a few dollars. I'll pick it up. I'll pick up the tab. I'll buy you food and I'll bring it to you. Also, Panda Express. Um, so go to Panda Express, bring her food. And I asked, "Do you have my non-alcoholic beer in the fridge?" And didn't have any. Now, I was like, when I go to the bar, I still want to buy something. That's why I talked to the owner. It's like, hey, look, I want to come to the bar, but I just don't want to be here drinking water. I want to buy something. So again, to support the business, because even the manager owner, she's my friend, you know, and I want her business to do good. And that's why she got the non-alcoholic beer for me. But this time again, they were out, and I was like, fine. I saw some people that I liked. I bought around. I was like, buy these people around a beer, and then I bought around, and I tipped. Even though I had already brought her, paid for her lunch, I was like, hey, you know what? You're one of the best bartenders on this island. I freaking you're a great person. You always treat me well. You know, I don't tell her this, but this is my mind. So that's why I tip. When I used to work with her, I would get. I'm under contract to get 20% of the tips as a bar back. But when I would work with her, I would always get at least 30%. She would overcut me on my cut, and just because she made a lot of money and she didn't mind sharing the wealth. Especially, she made more money than all the other bartenders because of her personality. Again, if you have a great personality and you're super nice, people just love it. Love you. They want to be around you. You know, that good energy. And they put her on a Thursday because that's a slow day. So they know she could bring in people even on a slow day of the week. And and again, the other bartenders that I work with, they never pay me over my 20%. That 20% is what I get. That's what they're gonna give me. Even if we had a killer night, I'll still get 20%. Even if I work extra hard, whatever, doesn't matter. Uh, but this other chick, nah, she would always like, you know what, man, you did an amazing job. Here's some extra. I'm like, man, thank you. I really appreciated that, and I didn't forget that. That's why when again she asked me to if I could bring her some food and she was going to pay for it, I was like, man, don't even worry about it. I got you. You help me out, I'm gonna help you out. And but so that's one case like of be taking care of my bartender. Um, I don't know I forgot where I was going with that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on tipping, man? It's an automatic tipping. Remember, I don't know if you ever seen this movie with it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. Can't think of about it uh, off the top of my head. It's the one where they rob. They're all wearing black and white suits and they rob a bank or rob a place, but you don't see the robbery. I can't think of it right now. But there's one guy they call him Mr. Pink, and they're all eating dinner, and he talks about not tipping, and he gives a whole monologue of not tipping. And it's pretty much what I'm talking about now, about, hey, if you can't make enough money, it's not really up to the customer to cough up uh, the money, and that we should be it should be automatic tipping, no matter, even if you're not good at your job, you could always get another job. Um, Again, even I kind of agree with that. I don't I, I, I don't know how this I don't know how to move on in the society with tipping constantly just getting out of control. Even machines now are asking for a tip. Machines that are when you're paying at in certain areas, they it's like you want to tip the machine. Like you're a machine. You're not even a person. Yeah, but and there is, I kid you not, there is. I feel guilty when I don't tip, and I'm trying not to tip, or not feel guilty anymore when the service is bad, and I don't tip, or when the server is horrible. Because even sometimes when I used to get horrible servers, I still tipped a couple of dollars, even if they ignore me, they were late and all this. Like I would go to let's see, Denny's late at night, and just some of the worst service ever. I still left a couple bucks because it's in my nature to tip, and I'm trying to work on that. Trying to work to not give a damn about people hating me. My other thing is to not feel obligated to tip. It's I go to the same places every time. Like that's what got me comfortable. To every time I go to a restaurant, I already know my server, and I know they're gonna give me great service, and I'm gonna take care of them, and that's become more of my go-to now. It's I have a circle of restaurants that I frequent, and a circle of bars, and have different days for different servers, and that's been working so far. But when I go to somewhere new, that's kind of it gets me in like in a spot where I'm always thinking, man, I get horrible service and I still just tip them out just because I don't want to hear them stereotype me into like, oh, this type of person doesn't tip, or oh, I knew he wasn't going to tip by the way he looks, or whatever, you know. I just don't want people bad mouthing me. But now I'm kind of not. I'm trying to grow out of that. Anyways, so share your stories on tipping. Have you ever felt obligated to tip? Do you always tip even if you have horrible service? What do you think about automatic tipping? Is tipping growing out of control? I don't know. And what should we do about tipping? I don't know. I'm looking forward to your questions, and I'll do a follow up maybe on this video. And I'm gonna do another video. I have to work at 3 in the morning, and I want to do another video on another subject. It's slave mentality. I'm doing that video because of yesterday's topic and a couple of things that happened this week. All right, till next time, YouTube.